Today on Softeller Tech Briefs, we're comparing staff augmentation and outsourcing, what each model is, how they differ, and how to choose the right approach for your IT team. One of the more significant challenges companies face today is fluctuating staffing demand, driven by seasonal needs, workload spikes, expansion, or gaps in in-house roles. That challenge affects small and mid-sized businesses as well as large multinational organizations. Depending on the work ahead, companies often turn to one of two strategies: staff augmentation or outsourcing. Both can strengthen an existing team, but their engagement models differ significantly. Understanding those differences is essential before you choose. Today, we'll look at both approaches, their types, benefits, key differences, and the factors that should guide your decision. What is staff augmentation? Staff augmentation is a business strategy software development teams use to supplement in-house talent with external expertise on a temporary or per-project basis. These services are delivered by specialized third-party staffing agencies known as augmentation vendors. Those agencies interview candidates who fit the role, employ experienced people, and orient them to the client's project goals. They also take on administrative workforce duties, paying salaries and benefits, conducting performance reviews, helping maintain timelines, and supplying resources such as hardware, office space, and network infrastructure. Companies using this model gain specialized technical expertise to meet development needs as they arise, typically at a fraction of the cost of permanent hiring. It is a temporary solution for a temporary IT need. Vendors provide technical staffing across many disciplines, including software development, such as React Native and .NET, as well as DevOps, cybersecurity, cloud computing, data analytics, data migration, and project management. Types of staff augmentation. Staff augmentation models can be grouped in different ways. The fundamentals are similar: predetermined contracts for temporary work, but the approaches differ in important ways. Traditional staff augmentation. In this model, companies facing new software work or workload spikes ask vendors to procure skilled professionals for specific tasks. The agency considers timeline and other requirements to assemble the right developers. The client then runs additional internal processes and typically appoints a project manager to integrate new hires smoothly. This approach fits deadline-focused work where the client wants hands-on, direct control of development. Dedicated team augmentation. This model is more comprehensive. The provider assembles a software development team to build projects from the ground up or support specific parts of a development pipeline. In this case, the provider often assumes more project management responsibility, including coherence and timeliness of deliverables. Depending on the work, augmented staff may operate as a remote team or collaborate on-site with internal people. Benefits of staff augmentation. Project visibility. When internal IT work is handed to newly hired people without enough orientation, project objectives can fade from view. Staff augmentation helps keep goals visible across the team. Because providers own much of hiring and integration, they can familiarize new members with the company's culture and vision more effectively. Access to top-tier developers. Organizations of all sizes can secure strong tech talent through augmentation. That speed of access matters on software projects that need immediate contribution to stay on timeline. Providers streamline screening so the local team can keep moving with confidence that capable people are in place. Cost efficiency. Companies no longer have to carry the full cost of permanent hiring for every temporary need. By providing strong talent without recurring staff administration overhead, augmentation vendors help enterprises contain operating costs and redirect budget elsewhere. Scalable operations. Flexibility is a major reason project managers favor the model. Technical staffing needs often change with project scale or phase. Augmentation lets companies adjust headcount based on workflow demand. Newer perspectives. Collaboration between in-house and augmented professionals often transfers knowledge both ways. External specialists bring cross-industry experience and may offer unconventional problem-solving approaches, product improvements, or faster paths to deliverables. What is outsourcing? Outsourcing, or project outsourcing, is an IT employment model in which certain IT functions are handed to a third-party company under predetermined service agreements. Staff augmentation and project-based outsourcing can look similar, but they differ in a critical way. An augmentation company supplies specific people to fill talent gaps for a project period. A project outsourcing company delivers a more comprehensive solution covering every aspect of a project or development process from start to finish. In project outsourcing, the agency recruits, trains, and manages a team that works separately from the client while staying focused on the client's requirements. By handing over an entire project, companies gain external skill while freeing internal teams to focus on core business work. Types of outsourcing. Software development outsourcing. Enterprises looking to build applications hand responsibilities, such as assembling an outsourced development team to vendors. Those vendors typically structure timelines for app development, performance testing, automation, deployment, and ongoing maintenance support. Infrastructure management outsourcing. Servers, storage, networks, and hardware components of cloud environments often need continuous maintenance. Infrastructure outsourcing assigns that work to specialists, so the client does not have to manage it day to day. Cybersecurity outsourcing. Services such as threat detection and response, vulnerability assessment, and security monitoring are contracted to a third party whose role is to keep enterprise and project security strong against attacks. Managed services. This method delegates IT work to an external contractor known as a managed services provider, or MSP. MSPs offer broader services that can include quality assurance, data analytics, and the outsourcing types already mentioned. They typically work independently and design execution around the agreed service level contract. Depending on where teams are sourced, outsourcing can also be classified as onshore, nearshore, or offshore. Onshore secures talent within the same country. Nearshore sources from neighboring countries. Offshore employs talent from farther countries, often at lower labor cost. Advantages of outsourcing. Emphasis on core competencies. For many companies, software development, infrastructure management, and security maintenance are not core daily operations. Outsourcing can hand those tasks to specialists so IT-dependent enterprises can focus people on areas where they are strongest: product design, marketing, or expansion. Risk limitation. Outsourced projects can reduce risks tied to in-house staffing, including skill gaps, turnover, personnel budget pressure, and compliance issues. Those protections are typically reflected in service-level agreements. Proactive innovation. Outsourcing providers often take an enterprising approach to new technology. Because they operate independently, they can integrate newer capabilities into infrastructure and management processes with fewer internal administrative bottlenecks than in-house teams sometimes face. Cost assurances. Beyond recurring fees, clients generally do not absorb market-driven cost swings mid-project in the same way. The amount for the engagement is usually defined in the agreement, which supports clearer budgeting. Staff augmentation versus outsourcing. Knowing the difference. In everyday language, any subcontracting of work can be called outsourcing, including staff augmentation. That is why the distinction often gets blurred. The models are still different in important ways. Cost. Project-based outsourcing is often more expensive than staff augmentation, partly because it usually involves longer commitment from the provider. Both models can be cost-effective in the right situation. True value depends on project duration, staffing needs, and requirements. Flexibility. Staff augmentation typically offers the client more control and flexibility. Companies can expand or reduce teams as development and infrastructure demands change. Outsourcing is more rigid. Clients do not usually pick and adjust teams the same way, but that trade-off comes with relief from day-to-day IT demand and assurance that processes and infrastructure are being handled. Project responsibilities. In staff augmentation, project management usually sits with the client's team lead or project manager rather than the supplier. The vendor sources and onboard talent, but project direction typically remains with the client unless otherwise agreed. Outsourcing relieves in-house staff of activities defined in the SLA. The provider appoints its own lead, integrates the work into its portfolio, and monitors progress. Training and onboarding. When a project is fully outsourced, client-side training needs are usually minimal because the vendor hires a vetted expert team. In augmentation, the enterprise still needs to onboard new people to company culture and project mission before work begins. Factors to consider when choosing a model. Expertise and specialization. The skills your project needs should shape the choice. Temporal work such as programming and testing often fits staff augmentation well. Ongoing work such as infrastructure maintenance may be better served by outsourcing. Control and oversight. Decide how involved you want to be. If you need continued oversight of people and operations, augmentation is usually the stronger fit. If you want to step back from IT operations and focus on core enterprise objectives, outsourcing may be better. Intellectual security. Both models use legal contracts, but clients can still worry about data and intellectual property. Augmentation can reduce that concern because hired teams often work more directly under in-house managers who can monitor activity more closely. Scalability. If project demand is likely to fluctuate, staff augmentation is often the better option. Outsourcing is typically more rigid on scaling. You cannot usually increase or reduce staff freely as needs change. At the same time, that rigidity may matter less if scaling does not affect your finances or outcomes under the agreed model. Closing takeaway. The choice between staff augmentation and outsourcing depends on your project's needs, budget, timelines, and control preferences. Staff augmentation helps you retain control and work closely with an extended team, which suits companies that need specialized skills to complement an existing workforce temporarily. Outsourcing hands entire projects to a third party, offering a more hands-off approach that can reduce operational load and free internal resources for strategic work. Both models can improve delivery and efficiency. The goal is to use external expertise in the way that best advances your project and business. If you'd like to learn more about software development, AI, cloud, data engineering, and digital transformation, visit us at softeller.com.